when we talk about cybersecurity, I liken it to physical security. Now, I grew up in Baltimore, which you guys have probably heard of. Probably, I think it's one of the most dangerous cities in America. So even at an early age, you kind of want to know your surroundings. You're going to be walking down the street, even though you're in different parts of town. You want to know where you're at. You want to pay attention to your surroundings. And the same thing, I think when people think they're on a computer, it's safe because you're on a computer. Microsoft, and everybody else is kind of the U.S. government. We're all protecting you, and that's really not the case. They can't. There's too many variables, and there's just too many ways to attack you these days. So it comes down to your situational awareness or your own awareness when it comes to cybersecurity. Um, so because again, Microsoft's not going to protect you. They do what they can. The government, everyone does what they can. But again, it's really up to you at the end of the day. And that's why I really wanted to stress in today's presentation. So we're going to go, and then again, since COVID-19, the attackers know this. They know that you're not being protected by your corporate firewall anymore. You're at home. Most IT departments weren't able to compensate for all the loss of control they basically had to give up when everybody wanted to work from home or work remotely. So everyone took advantage of it, right? When you see a weakness, you strike, and that's what the attackers do. They go for real estate agents a lot. They go for real estate. They go for nonprofits, which is to me is they're all awful. I mean, go for a nonprofit that's trying to serve the community, but they know that they're not protected. So that's what they go for. They go for the easy targets, and there's a lot of money that has left the island. So and a lot of it, some of it was actually a lot of it was real estate transactions, wires that didn't go where they were supposed to go. Stockbrokers are going to look at the stock market. I'm assuming real estate agents are going to be looking at MLS and everything else to do with your industry. This is what I drink my coffee to and look at every day. I'm looking for vulnerabilities. I'm looking for what's hot in the market, meaning what's going to get our credit unions attacked, our hospitals attacked, critical infrastructure.
Hey,
And
Josh,
this is, yep.
sorry, if you turn off your camera, then your screen share takes up the whole screen.
Okay. Like that. So, as like I said, everyone's drinking their coffee or tea or what have you in the morning. This is what I look at. This is what our teams look at to protect, our businesses here in Hawaii and across the mainland U.S. and actually now we're international as well. So, it's been quite a ride over this past year. It's been a lot of fun. So, again, these things probably don't mean a lot, but this is how they're attacking you. So this is like Emotet, which is a ransomware. It's a part of a ransomware family. So they'll take control of your computer. They're going to try to exploit you for money. Please do not pay the ransom. The FBI, they've changed their stance a couple times, and they have gone back to the stance of do not pay the money. So what we always say is have good backups, just in case. Again, this all comes back to situational awareness. I cannot stress that enough. And then we're going to jump into the PowerPoint presentation. So these are the types of attacks, most active malwares. These are the vulnerabilities. If you don't patch your machines, like Microsoft says, "Hey, I need to do an update," and you say, "No, you can do it later." You need to patch. I mean, that's another. It's one of this. We call it the CIS top 5 things to do. This is it. So if you make sure your Adobe, Flash, all these things are updated, you'll be in a much better spot. So this is very, very important because this is what the attackers are actively exploiting. This one CVE alone is like, what percent was it? I mean, it was crazy, right? So it's Office 2016 vulnerability, right? So again, make sure that this thing is patched. It's 86% of all the compromises happening right now are just this one thing alone. So we stress it a lot. So when Microsoft wants to update, please update. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. Do you guys see the PowerPoint? Okay. So here we go. So we're going to cover a couple things today. We're going to talk about phishing, your passwords, social engineering, target attack, insider threat, encryption, sensitive information. So let's talk about phishing first. I'm sure everyone's got a phishing email by this point. If not, I don't know, it's coming. So again, be very, very, again, situational awareness. Be very, very cautious of the emails that you open. They could be dangerous. So the worst case scenario is that you open up an email that looks like legitimate, and it's, oh, you need to reset your Office 365 password. It's been compromised. Yeah, I got to change that password. So you click on that link and you update your password, and it looks like you updated it, but now the attacker's got your password. And they're not going to do anything. They're not going to like take over your computer right away. Most likely, they're just going to sit there. They're going to watch your email. They know you're a real estate broker. They're just going to wait. They're just going to wait, and they're going to just start collecting things. Oh, there's a transaction for $1 million coming through. So they're going to keep. You're just going to keep watching you. You're not going to know. And then, oh, man, that's a $10 million deal. I want to intercept that wire. So what they'll do is they'll just wait, and then they'll set up everything, and they'll start. They can email as you, right? So they're going to be emailing everybody, the title company, everybody involved, and it looks like you. It might not, even though it's not you. And then what they'll do is engineer a way, socially engineer a way to get the money wired out. And before you realize it, it's gone. That transaction, whatever they were able to get, if they don't catch it within, I think it's like 72 hours, and if it's out of the country, it's gone. You can't do anything with it. So again, it is very, very important. Phishing attacks. The other part of the phishing attacks is, let's just say it's like the president of you know, whatever corporation is. Let's say it's Title Guarantee, right? He gets attacked, right? And then he starts reaching out to everybody in his email list, asking for information, asking for wires, asking for these different things. And it looks legitimate, but it's his account. So I mean, it's kind of hard to tell unless you actually call him and verify that that's real. Most people have an innate trust there, so that's why phishing, out of all the attacks, I'd say about 80% of all attacks start with a phishing email or some type of email compromise. So it is probably the number one thing out there, and the number one thing to watch out for. For the second thing is, it's going to be your passwords. Don't ever use the same password over again for the same thing, please. That is another very easy way for people to, compromise your other accounts. So instead of your customers losing money, this is some place where you could lose money, right? And potentially some other things. So what happens is, let's say you have a password for Facebook, right? Facebook gets compromised. They have the password database. Oh, it's the same password used for your First Hawaiian account. Okay, cool. Well, now I got access to your First Hawaiian account. So again, you want to make sure that your passwords are unique and different for every single website, that there is some complexity to them. You want to make sure that you can use a password manager like LastPass is free. Now they're not without their faults. You definitely look into them, but it's better. I say it's better than nothing. So definitely look at a password vault. And what that does is it gives you a unique password for every single website, but it's also very easy to store that information. You can have it on your phone, you can have it on your computer, but at least it's protected in some way versus, again, like, don't use an Excel spreadsheet for your passwords or Notepad document, because all that stuff is clear text and very easy to get into, and people will look for those when they attack you. So very, 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 very important. Social engineering. So this is where they're gonna con their way in, right? So let's say I call into HIS and I start working my way through the call tree, and I start understanding how they work, right? So, and I'm just asking questions, and I'm just using that as an example. I know HIS is better than this, but I'm just using them as an example because it does happen. We had an example with a law firm not too long ago where the lawyers were savvy; they knew what was going on, but so, somebody calls the lawyer Ben. Ben picks up the phone. Hey, da da da. And then Ben's like, oh yeah, my name's Ben. Blah blah blah. What's this about? And he's like, no, I don't. I'm not interested. Hangs it up. They call the next lawyer's office. Hey, I just got off the phone with Ben, and they couldn't hear the whole conversation, and so there's an innate trust there. So you want to want to be very aware of what's going on. And again, if you're not sure, verify. So a phone call. Phone call is the best way to verify. So let's talk about we'll talk about targeted attacks. Now, as real estate agents, I mean, you do have to be aware of this as well, because especially in Hawaii, where the home values are higher, there are people that are preying on the local community here. So again, be very, very suspicious if there's something that doesn't feel right. You know, reach out to whoever you think you need to reach out to see and verify. You know, you want to trust but verify. Insider threat, I wouldn't worry about too much. I mean, yeah, again, be cautious. Disk encryption. Now, a lot of laptops come with encryption enabled today. So that is very important, and please enable it. So if your laptop is in your car and it gets stolen, what you're going to want to do is know that that data is safe. So what you want to do is make sure that your drive is encrypted. If you don't know how to do that, again, talk to your IT provider, talk to whoever does your IT for you, and make sure that your drives are encrypted or any data that you have on there is protected in some way. Um, Again, that's the last thing you want to do is call your customer up and say, sorry, my laptop got stolen. Had all your social security numbers on it. Yeah, I had your bank account information in there, and it's one thing to say my laptop got stolen, it was encrypted, you should be okay, don't worry about it. First, I'm sorry, yeah, it wasn't encrypted. So yeah, they have access to everything. So again, it's the messaging, it's your own personal, I think, almost responsibility to make sure that you do that. A couple of years ago, you could probably get away with it, but today you need to make sure that those things are covered. And again, sensitive information, right? So we want to make sure that any sensitive information is guarded. It's one thing to guard your sensitive information, right? It's another thing to guard your customer sensitive information, because there's a lot more there's a lot more responsibility there. There's a lot of us that were defense contractors, and there's a major breach, and our stuff got compromised, and our stuff's out there on the dark web, and everyone knows who we are. So again, it's not a good feeling. We have protections now, but still, it's not a good feeling. So we're at 11:19. We're doing good on time here. So we're gonna go to the next slide. It's not advancing. Oh, now it just okay. Now it did. Okay. So again, we talked about phishing again, and this is just one more reminder on that. Let me make sure we didn't go too far. Okay, we're good. All right. So again, what we talked about phishing before, we're just going to kind of review again what we just talked about, because it's just very important. We want to make sure that you guys are just reviewing this again. So again, phishing emails, government maneuvers again. So let's say the FBI, hey, we have some sensitive data about you. Please get back to us. Or you're involved in a criminal case. These things do happen. So again, you need to definitely pay attention to it. A friend or family, let's say again, your dad's email gets compromised, and he's emailing you, but he needs money for something. Might look legit. Who knows? But it does happen. And then billing problems, credit cards, Chase credit card. You see all these emails all the time. Hey, your balance is past due, and so you don't, blah, 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 blah. Please make a payment now. So these things do happen all the time. And again, they wouldn't happen if, it wasn't profitable. These guys are making a killing. And so we'll go over that too here. So, in Russia, there's a famous hacker, and he's probably the most profitable entrepreneur that has lived in this century. So hacking is the most profitable industry. This guy, I think, did 50 million, and I guess came from zero to 50 million like a year or two. But it is the most profitable, though. I didn't say he's made the most amount of money, but it's the most profitable business. It's so profitable. He's got different help desks. I think there's last count, there's like 30 help desks across Russia that, if you have trouble distributing this ransomware to these Americans, whoever else you're trying to attack, they have a help desk that will help you. It's crazy. So again, it's about the money. I mean, most hacks, you don't think it's going to be someone that's mad at you or anything like that. It's all about money. They want money. So just to be very clear of what it's all about and why so many people are in it, because it's very lucrative. I can buy a list, I can start attacking people, I can start targeting people. It's very simple to do, actually. Um, and that's where it comes back to. You've probably heard me say it probably 10 times now. Situational awareness. Again, make sure that you're paying attention. Save passwords. Again, 14 character minimum. Now that I know that sounds like a lot, everybody. Um, it is, but if you make it like a passphrase or something that is harder to guess, that helps. And again, use the password vaults. They definitely make your life a lot easier. And we did miss multi-factor. So your banking, a lot of your banking websites now are requesting multi-factor. Now there's a catch to that. Multi-factor can be beat, and then the way they do that is they get a copy of your SIM. They can copy your SIM. There's ways to do it. And what that means is, or they can call your cell phone carrier and say, my phone was lost or stolen. I need another one. I'm in an emergency, and they'll social engineer the way through. So when you get that multi-factor text code on your phone, they can actually get into your bank account. So again, you want to use a really good password so they can't get to that second factor authentication. So, okay. Now this is an interesting one. So again, we talked about social engineering briefly. So this actually happened in my own house. I wasn't home, just so you guys know when this happened, but um, so my wife was home. She's just working. She actually used to work for Microsoft, and she heard her mom, who lives with us, 13 years now. She heard her mom like talking to somebody. She's like, "Oh, who's she talking to? That sounds kind of odd." And my wife went to go investigate. Oh, I'm talking to Microsoft. Really? You're talking to Microsoft? What do they want? Oh, they told me I had a virus on my computer. So my wife's like, wait a second. So Microsoft called you to tell you that you have a virus on your computer. She's like, yeah, and they're gonna help me fix it. I just gotta pay them. And she's like, wait. So, and then my mother-in-law, of course, she being she is, she didn't believe my wife. So my wife immediately called my brother. He still works at Microsoft. My brother-in-law, and they explained it to her that, listen, you're being frauded right now. So basically the guy was doing all sorts of weird stuff. He really wasn't doing anything, but he did install some software. Um, and then and of course my wife got on the phone and ring the guy out, of course, which is great. Um, so it does happen, and they do, prey on people, like, and again, it's very profitable. So they're gonna take, you have this virus on your computer. Okay, well, here, it's $500 to fix it. So you don't report me to my government or the FBI? Sure, I'll pay you $500, right? So again, just, these things happen. Again, and then yet the more that you know about it, the better, and the more that you can talk to people about it. Let's say you're at home at night at the dinner table, or you're having dinner with your aunties or uncles or whatever it is. Talk about this stuff, because it's really important. And unfortunately, the older generation is the one that gets preyed upon the most. So they do lose a lot of money in these situations. And sometimes they don't have a lot of money to lose. So again, social engineering, we keep going back to email, because email is all part of this whole thing. So yeah, we'll go on to targeted attack. So again, targeted attack, I don't think you'd have to really worry about as much. I mean, it is definitely still an issue. Let's say it's, I don't know, let's just pick a brokerage. Let's say it's I don't know, Keller locations. They get targeted, right? So, and they're going to go after the CEO. They're going to go after the CFO, and then then once their accounts get compromised, they're going to start sending emails out and start gathering information. Target attacks take a while. So, again, do you need to worry about it? Yes, but it does take a while. So actually, while we're on that, I was going to make a side note. So the other thing is, as you guys are driving around, you guys have appointments. You're running around. Let's say you need to go to Starbucks to get online and send a document or whatever it is. I would definitely not use public Wi-Fi if you cannot help it. The phones, their internet connectivity is very, very good right now. So I would say if you can, and if you can't get good connectivity, let's say you're in a like remote part of the island and the connectivity is not good. I mean, if you can wait, unless you really have to get that document out and it needs to get signed so you guys can close the deal. I get it. Um, I do. But if you can wait, let it wait. If you go to that Starbucks, because what happens is in Starbucks, we have these things in our tech world called pineapples, right? It's a Wi-Fi pineapple, and what it can do is it says, "Well, I'm the Starbucks network." So when it's a Starbucks network and you connect to it, I can see everything that you're doing. I can see what all the websites that you're going to. I can serve up um, fake web pages in a sense. I could redirect you to different sites. I could redirect you to my own Google site that I set up, but it looks like Google. Oh, you need an update for Google Chrome. Cool. Well, that update for Google Chrome will now, that you update to get to the Starbucks website, um, has now rooted your computer, and I can have full access to your machine. Once you leave that area where I'm at, I now have access to everything on that computer. And then, okay, let's say you're part of a corporate network. Okay, cool. Well, now I can just wait, and I can start making your computer act funny. Once your computer's acting funny, oh, IT. And so then IT logs into it with their administrator credentials, and then I get their credentials, and I can go backwards into the organization, then compromise the whole organization. So it really is that simple. There are tools in place, but again, the less that you can use public resources like public Wi-Fi's, and again, it's the public Wi-Fi's, it's the emails. Again, I keep repeating these, but they're very, very important. Okay, going back to threat actors. We can skip this one. Let's skip that one. So insider threats again. Okay, so we're gonna review encryption again, just one more time here. And again, it's critical, guys. So make sure that those laptops are encrypted. If you're a corporation, let's say you have that corporate data, you have all your customers' transactions, make sure they're just encrypted. We call it in transit and at rest. So you want to, if you're emailing something, um, like for Microsoft Office 365, there's a little button you click that says encrypt this file, encrypt this email. That's all it takes. It's just one button. It's just one click and encrypts the email. So it makes life a lot easier. And again, Microsoft and everybody is trying to make your lives easier, and they do. But they can't help you all the time, right? So again, you do need to take some responsibility, read up on this stuff. It's really important. And again, it's all about the sensitive information. If we can keep people from getting sensitive information, the less information people have on you, the harder it is for them to attack you. So the more they know about you, the more you're in social media. Like my Facebook page is very locked down. Nobody can even post on my wall without me approving. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but um, you want to be able to protect yourself, and then you also want to protect yourself from different types of attacks. So again, limit your exposure. Again, situational awareness, limit that exposure. If you don't use it, let's say, what's that, like Friendster, there's older things like that, make sure to just shut down the accounts. Make some, if they won't let you shut it down, make it some crazy password, um, and just make sure that it's, either shut down or, you're just not using it. So, well. Okay, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but in 2019, Pacific Guardian Life got breached, and they got everything from one email account. So I know you guys could probably read that way faster than me, but yeah, it was just one email account that got breached, and from there they got everything that they needed, and they got everything. They got names, social security numbers, and medical information. So if I want to sell that information to then pose as, like, let's say myself, let's say I was part of the PGL's breach, I can buy things. I have a social security number. I got medical information. I know your address. I can buy a car. I can do all sorts of things, right? So again, and these things are super, super, super important. And that's why everyone, is getting in a lot of trouble these days too, right? So you got to realize that this information is worth money, right? So data is worth money. No matter what kind of data it is, you can do a lot with it. So, and you can use it for you can use it for different reasons. So, 2019, again, this is last year's, but there's been a lot more this year. In 2019, the Cancer Center of Hawaii was hacked, and the awful part about that one was they had to stop cancer treatment services. Like, so if you think about the impact on that, if you have a family member or something like that, they couldn't get their treatments. So it's different, right? So it's everybody's responsibility to try and stop these guys. The less profitable it is, the harder it is for them to do it, the less they're going to do these things. So yeah, it's super important to make sure that we teach these bad guys a lesson if we can, and the only way to do that is again be vigilant. So in 2017, Roberts Hawaii, um, just they have an unpatched web server. This happens all the time. The Equifax breach, all these things are just websites that got breached, and then what they do is they work backwards through the organization. And of course, yeah, the Turtle Bay Resorts, they got credit card information, right? So, so these are the top tips, right? So, think before you click. Before you click on any emails. I guess I cannot spell, so create a good strong password that's easy for you to remember. And I would use that password that is used for password vault. So use the password vaults. Again, if you don't trust who you're talking to, or the email looks funny that you're getting, please verify that. Call that person. Just don't blindly trust it. Um, Again, practice good security awareness. Even people that you know. And again, just think about it when you're on the internet. You're walking down the streets of Baltimore, right? Um, and I've seen a lot of things. And again, just think of it that way. You're like the internet it can be a very dangerous place. And you can go down the wrong alley, like in Baltimore we call it block by block. You go down take one wrong turn, and you're in really deep trouble. So just stick to what you know. Stick to the websites that you know. Don't try to make any wrong turns. Again, use 100% use encryption for sensitive information, and know how to handle sensitive information and other data that you've gotten to make sure that you're handling that data correctly. And if you're not sure about it, I know that like KCC has some great courses. There's a lot of courses out there online. Some of them are free. We used to do a thing when the Microsoft Store was here. We'd do something, once a month to do public outreach. There's a lot of resources out there to you, even if it's just maybe an hour a week, just to read up on what's happening. I think it'd definitely be worthwhile. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick. Last year when we did this, we had a lot of questions and actually went way over, which is awesome because there's a lot of questions about this. We want to leave a lot more time for questions this time. So how do I?
Yeah, you turn your camera back on.
Okay, let me close this. All right, I'm figuring it out right. There we go. I got it.
There you are.
There we go.
All right. So thank you, Chuck. Let us indeed see if we can get some questions in the chat room. If you're attending, you can click on the chat on the right and the stage button to get to the stage chat. And we have some questions to get us started. Kelly Moran wanted to know what password vault you recommend.
We typically use LastPass. There's LastPass, 1Password. They're all great solutions. Again, please use them. That's all I can say.
I mean, it would make good sense to use it as an individual for sure. Are there any platforms that function well to share passwords with a group, a family, a company?
There is. So there's LastPass for Teams. So that works out very, very well. When you get into the more of the corporate settings, you look at things like Psychotic, or I know these names are all crazy. Security companies like to come up with these crazy names. So Thycotic or CyberArk or these different enterprise tools. But again, there's it are in the thousands of dollars to start. Where LastPass actually starts at free. So most people start there, and it just gives you which one? Thycotic. Let's see here. How do you spell that? Here. Sorry.
Thycotic. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so Marty wanted to know, when you talked about encryption in place, how do you turn on encryption on your laptop?
Okay, there's in Windows, if you're running at least Windows 10, there's a way to do it. Yep. Okay, I see a lot of questions there. So there is a way to do it. You can turn on encryption on the disk with Windows 10. It's a setting. If you have any questions, I guess we can, we'll take a list of the questions and we'll give answers to like exactly our videos on how to turn that on
Sure, sure.
inside your laptops.
Same thing
But
with
it's super important.
yeah, Apple also does the ability to encrypt your laptop hard drive by default. Cindy is asking about OnePass. That's what
Hmm.
Chuck mentioned. That's what
Yep.
we use at HIS, and I use personally. So it's great. I have a vault for all of my personal stuff, but I can also access the HIS vault for the systems and networks that I should have access to. If you have a team plan on these password vaults, you can even break it down so that your IT team shares passwords, your marketing team shares passwords, but you don't have to give access to all of your passwords to everybody, because you wouldn't want to do that. So
That's
yeah,
correct.
LastPass is good, OnePass is good. Thycotic sounds pretty hardcore for a very big company. Um, we have a question that's both from Kimberly and Anne. What do you feel? And we get this on customer support a lot too. What do you think about saving passwords in your browser?
No, don't do
But
that.
everybody does it, Chuck. It's so easy to remember that way. It just puts it in there automatically, and I can log in with a click.
It can be, as we call it, it can be scraped from memory just as quick. So please don't do that one. Do not yeah, the browser storing passwords in browser is never a good idea.
If you've done that, I guess you would have
Delete them.
to get them out of there, which you also might need help with.
Yeah, get them out of there. Put them in LastPass or one. One. What's that? What's one
One
you guys
pass,
use?
last
One
pass,
pass. Yeah,
Thycotic Enemy.
yeah. Please don't do that. It's so easy to scrape that information and reuse it so quickly.
Yeah, I know that's going to be a tough one, because I think a lot of people rely on that feature. Um, so yes,
Well,
saving
it's
in your
so easy.
yeah.
It's like, would you like to see that? Sure, click it. It's simple and it works. You don't have to think about it.
I,
Um,
from my background, I used to be the information security officer for a bank, and we always had, one of my illustrations was always a line that had on one end security and on the other end convenience. And the
mhm.
more convenient something is, the less secure it is. So, oh,
Yep.
Dashlane, yes, that's another one
Dashlane's
for
good. I
Apple.
remember
Very
Dashlane.
good.
Yeah. Then keychain. I think relatively, Apple key. There has been vulnerabilities for Apple's keychain in the past. I think generally it's pretty safe. I mean, it's better than nothing, and it's better than storing an Excel spreadsheet or a notepad file or whatever you do if you're using Apple, right? If you're asking about keychain, please don't
So,
store it in the notes thing, because if your iCloud account gets compromised, they got everything. So please don't store any passwords in there.
well, this
For
might be going
sure.
off the script of digital, but I wanted to ask you this
Yeah.
question, Chuck,
Sure.
um, because the traditional thinking is also, don't write your passwords down, right?
Hmm.
But you also want to have a secure password with numbers and symbols and uppercase and lowercase. So then it's like, well, great. Now, obviously, a password vault is a good idea, but I have heard it said that if you treat your password, your written password, as carefully as you do, say, your credit cards, right? You're not sticking it on a post-it note on your keyboard or monitor, but you're carrying it with you, that it's reasonably secure, and at least more secure than an easily guessed password.
Yeah. So I have some reservations around that one too. Um, I agree with writing it down, but you know, and if you don't remember it, like what if it goes through the wash? Oh, it was in my pants pocket, or there was a fire. I know I've had friends of mine that were in the cybersecurity world that literally took all his bitcoins and printed them out, so
Right, right.
like and put them in a safe, right?
Yeah,
So
got
um,
it.
pen and paper. And again, if somebody breaks into your house and they do find, I mean, it's such a rare thing. Or there's a fire, yeah, you would lose it. There's ways to recover it, of course, but it's also the convenience too, right? So.
Well, having it all together with your credit cards isn't always the brightest thing. And I had a friend very recently had their wallet stolen from their shopping cart,
Mm.
which included their keys to their car. So their car was stolen. And then they took the car to their house, which was in the wallet, the address, and robbed their house. And it all happened while they were still at the supermarket. It is bonkers.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So
So it
that's
happened.
the other scary thing. So think about this. You see, what is a phone, right? Everybody, right? Super
I
simple.
think
But
I've seen one
now,
before. Yeah.
right? But now, okay. So I have Apple Pay. Yeah, right? So I can pay at Whole Foods right across the street here. Oh, let's say I get a new car. I can open my car with my phone. Cool. Well, what if I hack if someone hacks my iCloud account and they recover a backup from my phone that's stored in iCloud? They can literally be my phone. They can recover it and start doing everything that I do with my phone.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
So
So
Kimberly and I think a few other people asked about the saved passwords in the browser. Is it hard to do? Do you have to do it one at a time, or can you wipe them out?
you can wipe them out.
So I think in your browser, if you look for your settings, no matter what the browser is, there should be a settings
There
or
should
a
be
gear
settings.
icon or a three dots or a more or whatever. There's going to be a security privacy option. And usually it'll be where it says, do you want to clear stored data? And usually it'll
Mm-hmm.
say, do you want to clear cookies? Do you want to clear bookmarks? Do you want to clear your history? But one of them will always be, do you want to clear everything and anything and do a full on reset? And that's what we'd be talking about.
Exactly.
Goran is asking about two-factor. What can you say and introduce people to two-factor if they don't use two-factor?
I mean, I would say use it for everything if you can. And then, so that's a great question about two factors. So we call it defense in depth or layered security, right? So let's say I get I have your access to your browser passwords. Okay. So what are you using for that second factor authentication? If you're using just a text message in your SIM, and if I know who you are, I can recover your phone or copy your SIM. That's easy. Now, if you're using an application like Duo or something like that, like the banks have different ways of doing things, but it makes it a little bit harder. So I would just make a general practice because not all websites have two-factor. So are you going to store some passwords in your some passwords in your browser, and other passwords in LastPass or OnePass or KeePass? So just to make your life easier, I would just try to just go to one place where everything is, versus trying to think, oh, I had this one over here, and then I had this one over here. So just to try to make your life easier.
Yeah, so two-factor makes it that not only something you know, but something you possess is one of the ways to get into your accounts, usually your phone.
Yep.
I had my SIM hacked. I literally had my phone number stolen from me to steal my Instagram account, of all things.
Really?
Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
and getting your phone number back is no fun either.
No,
So
it's not.
two-factor is not perfect, but it's just like you said, it's or what they say, I don't need to run faster than the leopard, I just need to run faster than you. It's like you
Yep.
have, if you have one extra layer to get to your stuff than your neighbor, then you're in a better shape, right? So just take all of these options available. Two-factor, by the way, LastPass and 1Password also support. So
Yes.
one password can be your token for the second factor. So in a way, it's convenient because it's all in one place. You might think that that's less secure. It may be, but again, you're trying to find that balance between security and convenience.
That is correct. So here's another tidbit. These RFID backing wallets, very important as well.
Wait. Isn't that like a tinfoil hat thing? Like, who's scanning your wallet?
I don't know, but not going to get my information.
What is that? What is an RFID wallet?
Basically, it's shielded, so the scanner can't get your data off your credit cards, all the chips now. So they can't basically activate your chips. And it does work pretty well. So because my pass to get into the building, if I don't have it on the outside, if I have it on the inside, then I can't get in the building. So I know it works.
Do we have any other questions for Chuck here for cybersecurity on the first day of our Joint Technology Expo? I'll watch chat for another 30
Yep.
seconds. In the meantime, Chuck, I will ask, thank you for your time, for
Yep. Thank you.
returning. Chuck was a presenter at the Kauai Board of Realtors Tech Expo last year. Happened the same weekend Kauai had an island-wide internet outage, so that was fun. But they were able to sort that all out, and we were able to proceed. Sorry we couldn't set you up with travel and hotel accommodations this time. But but on the other hand, you didn't have to leave home or leave work
I didn't actually. Yeah, I could just come down to the office and hang out and spend my money at Whole Foods.
So I have a very quick question, which turns into a pitch. If people
Sure.
need cybersecurity consulting for their brokerage or their office, are you available to help with things like that?
Sure. Yes, of course we can. We're all about the community here. Hence the name High Tech Hui. We have about 38 consultants now. So we always try to help people in the community, whatever that is. And we have a lot of outreach programs on the corporate side. Of course, we handle a lot of corporate, but we're all here to help.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So High Tech Hui, and I think you have people on the other islands, correct?
We do. We actually have people in the other islands. We have people in California, Maryland, Texas, Florida. I mean, Philippines now. We're spinning up a second SOC in the Philippines. So yeah, it's crazy.
You're everywhere. Excellent.
We're everywhere. So.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very, very much again for your time.
No, thank you.
We'll
This is so
say
much
goodbye,
fun.
and we'll give away some prizes here before we let everybody go for the day. Bye, Chuck. Thank you. Mahalo.
Hello.